that I've never done before. I'm going to make the lesson online. I'm going to record everything. This is the program I am using, Bandicam. So it'll pop up a couple times. What I want to accomplish today. We're going to go over the grammar homework you had from Wednesday last week, lesson 6. So we're going to correct that. And since this is Monday's lesson, we will also start lesson 7 for grammar. So last week, the new grammar that we learned were adjectives. So I'm going to pull this up so we can do corrections. Now, remember that when we do adjectives, there are adjective questions that all of us need to memorize. The adjective questions are which one, what kind, how many, and whose. Which one, what kind, how many, and whose. So for example, cute cat. The adjective is cute, and it answers the adjective question, which one? Which cat? The cute cat. And also remember that all articles are adjectives. The, a, and an. The, a, and an are always adjectives. So, for example, the cat answers the question, which one? Which cat? The cat. For what kind, an example could be jelly donut. What kind of jelly donut? What kind of donut? Jelly donut. Okay, what kind of donut? A jelly donut. Or a round donut. What kind of donut? A round donut. How many is another adjective question. 5 pens. 5 is the adjective. How many pens? 5 pens. How many? 5. Some pens. Some is the adjective and it answers the question, how many? How many pens? Some pens. And whose is our last adjective question we need to memorize. Carolyn's basket. Carolyn's is the adjective. Whose basket? Carolyn's basket. Remember that this could be done with pronouns as well. My basket. Whose basket? My basket. So, take out your homework and we're going to correct it. So the first question for lesson 6 was 3 yellow birds chirped. 3 yellow birds chirped. Okay? So, for our diagram, remember the first thing we should have done, we do every time we do a diagram. We make a cross. Okay? So we do our cross, and remember that the subject goes here, and the verb goes here. Now, what is the subject of 3 yellow birds chirped? Okay? The subject is birds. So I bring that down here. We put it in our subject section. Okay. Good. And what is the verb? What are the birds doing? They are chirping. So chirped is our verb. So we're going to take that. Let's see if I can. There we go. And we'll put chirped in the verb section. Good. Now, do you remember where adjectives go? Remember that adjectives modify nouns or pronouns. Okay? They modify nouns or pronouns. They add description to things. So, if our subject is birds, and remember that a noun job is being a subject. That's one of the noun jobs. A noun can be a subject. So, we're going to modify the subject, which is the noun in the sentence. And to do that, we put our adjectives underneath the noun. And we have two of them. So we'll do this. Okay. Now, 3 is an adjective, and it answers the noun question, how many? How many birds? 3 birds. So we put it right here. And yellow answers the question, which one or what kind? Which bird? The yellow bird. What kind of bird? The yellow bird. Okay, so we take yellow and bring it down here, and we'll put it in our adjective area. See if we can undo that. Alright, one more time. We're going to put it back. So, 3 board. Three answers the question, how many? And yellow answers the question, which one or what kind? So yellow is diagrammed over here. There we go. So this is what your diagram should look like. Okay? Birds is our subject. Chirped is our verb. 3 is the adjective modifying birds and answers how many. How many birds? 3 birds. Yellow is our adjective modifying birds and it answers which one. Which bird? The yellow bird. Good. Next. We will do number 2. And the sentence in number 2 is, will the cute cat meow? Will the cute cat meow? Okay, and that is a question sentence. So, remember for question sentences, a good way to find the subject is to change it into a statement. So to change this into a statement sentence, we would change it to the cute cat will meow, period. All right, and then we do what we always do. The first thing we do is we make our cross. Bring this down here like that. Take this one, put it right next to it, and we got our little cross right there. Okay. Now we gotta find the subject. So what is the subject of the cute cat will meow? So cat is our subject. So we put in the subject space right here. Okay. Now we gotta find the helping verb. What's our helping verb? Our helping verb is will. Okay, and that goes in our verb space. Okay, and then our main verb is meow. What is the cat doing? It's meowing. Meow. No. Let's try that one more time. Sorry about that, you guys. I have to get used to my software. So, okay. So cat is our subject. Will is our helping verb. Apparently I just grabbed both of those. Will is our helping verb. Meow is our main verb. Okay? And remember that when you have a helping verb and a main verb, they act as one verb, and we call that a verb phrase. So will meow is the verb phrase. Now, what are the adjectives of the sentence? Remember that all articles are always adjectives. So the, a, and an are always adjectives. So the is our adjective for cat. Okay, put that in there. We want our adjective line, which will go right here. We can put the on that adjective line. We want another adjective line, which we can put right here. And cute is going to go right there on our adjective line. Okay? So, the cute cat will meow. Okay? Good. Now, the answers the adjective question, which one? Which cat? The cat. Cute answers the adjective question, which one? Which cat? The cute cat. Perfect. Now let's head over to number 3. So, what is our sentence for number 3? Number 3, our sentence is, the boy's pen broke. The boy's pen broke. Like always, the first thing we should always do when we do this is make our cross. So I'm going to bring this down here. I'll bring this down here as well. So let's put our cross right here. Okay. Now, what is the subject of the sentence? The boy's pen broke. The subject is pen. So let's take pen down here. Put it in our subject area. Pen. And then, what is our verb? What did the pen do? It broke. Broke is our verb, the action word. Broke. Now, we have to add our adjective markers. So, we'll put it right here. Because adjectives modify nouns and pronouns, so it goes right under the subject, which is the noun. Right there. The is always an adjective because it's an article modifying pen. Okay. Boys answers the question, whose pen? The boy's pen. Okay. Both. And then the will answer the question, which one? Which pen? The pen. Put this right over here. That's what it should look like for your diagram. Subject, verb, adjective, adjective. Good. So remember that pen is the subject, broke is the verb, the is the adjective modifying pen, answering the question, which one? Boys is the adjective modifying pen, answering the question, whose? Whose pen? The boy's pen. Next, for number 4, same thing. We always make our cross at the beginning before we do anything. So, here's our cross. Put it right in there, just like this. Okay. Now, the next sentence we are going to diagram is the flower will grow. The flower will grow, period. What is the subject of the sentence? The subject of the sentence is flower. Put that in our subject area. Now, what is the helping verb of this sentence? The helping verb is will. Remember to memorize your 24 helping verbs, so it'll be very helpful. And the main verb is grow. So will grow, when we have a helping verb and a main verb, we call that a verb phrase. It's the verb phrase. Will grow is our verb phrase. So now we have to put our adjective lines in there. So here's my first adjective line. Oh, we only need one adjective line. And the adjective is the, which is an article, and it's always an adjective. The, a, and an are always adjectives. That's something I would like you guys to really focus on remembering. The adjective questions and the articles are always adjectives. Okay, so our sentence, the flower will grow. The is our adjective modifying flower, and it answers the question, which one? Which flower? The flower. Will is our helping verb. Grow is our main verb. Will grow is our verb phrase. And remember, when you have a verb phrase, it acts as one verb. Okay, it's only acting as one verb. That's why we can put it in our verb spot together. And for the last one, number 5 from your homework is my blue notebook fell. Number 5 is my blue notebook fell. So let's diagram this one. Real quickly, we need our stuff for our cross, so we make a cross on our paper. Bring this one in here. Okay. Let's take a look at our sentence. My blue notebook fell. So what is the subject of the sentence? The subject is notebook. That's what we're talking about in the sentence. Okay. Notebook. Should not. Let's try that again. Notebook goes in our subject area, which is on the left-hand side. Notebook. Okay, and what is the verb or the action? Right, the verb is fell. That's what the notebook did. It fell. And then we have two adjectives, so let's add two adjective lines. Adjective 1, adjective number 2. Okay, so one of the adjectives is my. Okay, my notebook. Whose notebook? My notebook. Answers the question who. Okay, and blue. Blue answers the question which one. Which notebook? The blue notebook. Okay, so my is an adjective modifying notebook, right? Whose notebook? My notebook. Blue is modifying notebook. Which one? Which notebook? The blue notebook. And fell is our verb. So right here are all the answers to your homework, questions 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay? Make the corrections you need to make. And we are going to move on to lesson 7. Moving on to lesson 7. Okay? Now, we're going to watch the video. And I should be able to play it on here. We should all be able to hear it. Okay? We're going to watch the video. This one's a little longer because it's adverbs. Lesson 7 is adverbs. Okay? Start back at the beginning. I would like to make it full size.
Welcome back to...
There we go. Alright, so I'm going to play this. You guys listen, and I'll pause it when I need to talk. Okay? So we're doing adverbs. And adverbs, just like adjectives, there are adverb questions. Okay? So, you guys need to memorize these adverb questions. She's going to talk about it. But the adverb questions are how, when, where, to what extent, and why. Those are our 5 adverb questions we need to memorize. How, when, where, to what extent, and why.
Get Smart. You are now on lesson 7, and we will be talking about adverbs in lesson 7. As usual, let's start with some relevant review. You know that we can divide our words into categories called the parts of speech. You know that adjectives are words that modify nouns and pronouns. And you know that verbs tell us what the subject is or does. Now in this lesson, we're going to be learning about adverbs. Yay! Adverbs are kind of like adjectives. Remember that adjectives describe or modify nouns and pronouns? Well, adverbs are also modifiers. Adverbs are words that modify or describe verbs, adjectives, and other adverbs. So these guys, adverbs, can modify 3 different parts of speech. Adjectives could only modify nouns and pronouns. Adverbs can modify verbs, adjectives, and other adverbs. They can modify themselves. It's crazy. All right, let's look at some examples.
So adverbs can modify verbs, adjectives, and other adverbs. Remember that adjectives can only modify nouns and pronouns, but adverbs can modify verbs, adjectives, and other adverbs. This is important.
Quite small, very quickly, visit tomorrow, and sit here. Those are the examples we're going to be checking out. Let's start with quite small. Quite is an adverb, and it's telling us about the word small. Small is an adjective. Remember that adjectives tell us more about nouns or pronouns. So small is telling us about a noun or a pronoun, and quite is telling us more about that adjective. Quite small. Very quickly, very is an adverb, and it's telling us more about another adverb. Quickly is also an adverb. Visit tomorrow. Visit is a verb, and tomorrow is telling us more about the verb. Sit here. Sit is also a verb, and here is telling us more about that verb. Now, I'm sure you remember the adjective questions, right? You have them memorized, I'm sure. Which one, what kind, how many, and whose? Well, there are also adverb questions. And knowing the adverb questions will help you find adverbs in your sentences. Let's look at the adverb questions. They are how, when, where, to what extent, and why. How, when, where, to what extent, and why. Let's look at how all of them work. Let's start with how. How is an adverb question. And let's look at that example, quite small. Quite is telling us more about the adjective small. That small is an adjective. That must mean it's telling us about a noun or a pronoun. And I have a little guy right here to help us with this question or with this example. You might not be able to see him. He's about the size of an almond. He is a monkey. He's a very small monkey, quite small. Can you see him? Oh, he's so little. This little guy is pretty tiny. And he's pretty tiny. He's also quite small. If I say he's quite small, you know that small is telling us about the noun monkey. And quite is answering the adverb question how. How small? Quite small. So quite is an adverb modifying the adjective small, and it's answering the adverb question how. The next adverb question is when. I'll put my little small monkey down here. Put him over here. The next adverb question is when. And let's look at the example, visit tomorrow. I will visit tomorrow. Tomorrow is an adverb, and it's telling us more about the verb visit. When will you visit? I will visit tomorrow. Where is an adverb question. Here's the example. Sit here. Sit is a verb. Here is telling us more about the verb. Where should I sit? Sit here. To what extent is another adverb question, and here's the example. Fully stop. Stop is a verb. Fully is telling us to what extent should you stop. And the last question, the adverb question, why, is actually answered by adverbs that are phrases or clauses. We're not into that yet, so we're not going to look at examples. Right now, we're just looking at one-word adverbs like quite, tomorrow, here, and fully. Remember that why is an adverb question because it will help you later on when we learn about phrases or clauses. For now, just remember why is an adverb question. That's all you need to know. Let's talk about how to diagram adverbs. You'll remember that when we diagrammed adjectives, we put them on a slanted line right underneath the word that they were modifying. So far for us, that just means the subject. So there is the sentence diagram of kind of where we are right now. We have the subject, the verb, and an adjective underneath the subject. Well, let's think about this. Where do you think we would diagram adverbs? Remember, they modify verbs, adjectives, and other adverbs. Well, we diagram them right underneath the word that they're modifying, also on a slanted line, just like we did with adjectives. So if we had an adverb that was modifying, say, an adjective, this is how it would look. It would go on a slanted line, and if we follow the line up, we can see that it's connected to an adjective. So we would know that that adverb is modifying an adjective. If we had an adverb that was modifying a verb, it would go right underneath the verb on a slanted line. You follow the line up and you see, this one is modifying the verb. If we had an adverb that was modifying another adverb, we would put it on a slanted line connected to the adverb it was modifying. We could follow the line up and see, this adverb is modifying another adverb. So there's a basic diagram of the places in our diagram, some of the places in our diagram where we could have adverbs. Let's look at some example sentences and see how to diagram them. Let's start with, Rover howled rather loudly. Remember, we always start by finding the subject and the verb. The subject is Rover and the verb is howled. Now we're left with rather and loudly. Let's start with loudly. Loudly is telling us how he howled. How did Rover howl? Loudly. So loudly is an adverb that goes underneath the verb. Rather is telling us more about loudly. How loudly? Rather loudly. So we show that it's modifying the adverb loudly by putting it on a slanted line underneath the adverb loudly. So there's the diagram of the sentence, Rover howled rather loudly. Okay, let's look at one more example sentence. The very tiny fish swim gracefully. Remember, we start with subject and verb. The subject is fish, the verb is swim. Now at this point, we're left with quite a few words. Some of those words are going to be adverbs and some of them are going to be adjectives. So you have to be on your toes. Let's start with the very first word in the sentence, which is the. We ask ourselves, what is the doing? Well, maybe you remember that the is a special kind of adjective called an article, and it's telling us more about the subject, the noun fish. So we put the on a slanted line right under fish. Okay, let's look at the next word. The next word is very. Now, what is very doing in this sentence? Is very telling us about fish? The very fish? No, that's not right. Very is telling us about tiny. Tiny is not in our sentence diagram yet. So it's going to be easier to put very in our diagram after we have tiny done. So let's focus on the word tiny first. What is tiny doing? Tiny is telling us about fish. What kind of fish? Tiny fish. So tiny is an adjective. We put it under the noun fish. Now we can go back and say, very is an adverb and it's telling us about the adjective tiny. So we put it on a slanted line under tiny. And we are left with just one more word, gracefully. What does gracefully do? Well, it's telling us more about how the fish swim. It's answering the adverb question, how. And since it's modifying the verb swim, we put it on a slanted line right under the verb swim. And there is your diagram for the very tiny fish swim gracefully. You can see now, as we looked at that example sentence, how important it is to have your adverb and your adjective questions memorized. So if you don't have that done yet, really focus on that and try to make that a priority over the next few days. The adjective questions are which one, what kind, how many, and whose. The adverb questions are how, when, where, to what extent, and why. Now, before you diagram your sentences, as usual, we are going to do an exercise in finding the adverbs. So keep in mind the adverb questions. Maybe you have them on a little sheet of paper next to you or something, some place that you can easily look at them. And as you're looking at these sentences, you might have to first identify the adjectives if you're having a hard time. Then you can find the adverbs a little bit more easily. So first find the subjects, the verbs, then the adjectives, and then the adverbs. Do not worry about diagramming these sentences because we haven't learned how to diagram everything in them yet. We're just focusing on finding the adverbs. Okay, here are your sentences. Go ahead and put the video on pause and identify your adverbs.
Okay, you guys, so sentence number 1. He never answers questions accurately. He never answers questions accurately. So, the adverbs in this sentence are never and accurately. Okay? Never and accurately. Number 2, B. The doctor very skillfully operated on the sick patient. The doctor very skillfully operated on the sick patient. So do your best right now and try to figure out what the adverbs are for this sentence. The doctor very skillfully operated on the sick patient. We'll go down to C. Try to find the adverbs in this one, okay? She'll give us the answers in a minute. Suddenly, I realized that I must sleep upstairs. Suddenly, I realized that I must sleep upstairs. Part D. Drive carefully. The road is quite slippery. Drive carefully. The road is quite slippery. Do your best. And the last one. I always feed the dog daily. I always feed the dog daily. I'll read it one more time. I always feed the dog daily. Well, hopefully you were able to find the adverbs. I'm going to start the video and she's going to give us the answers. And you'll see if you're correct.
Okay, you are back to find the answers. In A, the adverbs are never and accurately, and they're both telling us more about the verb answers. In B, the adverbs are very and skillfully. Skillfully is telling us more about the verb operated, and very is telling us about the adverb skillfully. In C, the adverbs are suddenly and upstairs. Suddenly is telling us more about realized, and upstairs is telling us more about sleep. Where are you going to sleep? Upstairs. In D, the adverbs are carefully and quite. By the way, the first sentence in D is a command or an imperative sentence. Remember that has the subject of you understood. Anyway, carefully is an adverb telling us more about the verb drive. And quite is an adverb telling us more about the adjective slippery. In E, the adverbs are always and daily. Always tells us more about the verb feed, and so does daily. There you have it. If you'd like to do another little bonus exercise, you can think of examples of adverbs modifying verbs, adjectives, and other adverbs. I always think it's really helpful for you to come up with your own examples because it really forces you to do the mental work of thinking about how these parts of speech work. So, think about and come up with 3 examples of adverbs. Maybe you want to have them one modifying a verb, one modifying an adjective, and one modifying another adverb. After you do that, you'll be all ready to diagram the 5 sentences in this lesson. So have fun diagramming your sentences that now contain nouns, pronouns, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs. Look at that, you already know about 5 parts of speech. Have fun diagramming your sentences, and I will see you in lesson 8.
Alright, good. So, what we're going to do, and I'm going to double check that my mic is running. Yep. We are going to get our homework for tonight because it's Monday, and Wednesday we will still get grammar homework. But the difference is you're going to have to write it on a piece of paper. So, right now, I need you guys to get a blank piece of paper, or 2 or 3 blank pieces of paper. Okay, so a nice blank piece of paper. Pull this up. Make this nice and big. Okay. Now, the things you need to remember are the adverb questions. How, when, where, to what extent. These are the 4 that you need to know right now. Don't worry about why. So, how, when, where, to what extent. We come down here, here's some nice examples. Gracefully walk. How are they walking? They are walking gracefully. Walk slowly. Okay? So, our adverb is slowly. So, how do they walk, or walk how? They walk slowly. Never walk. When do they walk? Never. Walk tomorrow. When will they walk? They will walk tomorrow. Walk here. Where will they walk? They will walk here. Walk everywhere. Walk where? Everywhere. Okay? Extremely cute. How cute? Extremely cute. Not cute. How cute? Not cute. Very slowly. How slowly? Very slowly. Very. How slowly? Rather slowly. Rather is our adverb. Remember that adverbs can modify adjectives, other adverbs, and verbs. They modify adjectives, other adverbs, and verbs. Okay, so they can modify 3 things: adjectives, other adverbs, and verbs. Remember that adjectives modify nouns and pronouns. Adjectives can only modify nouns and pronouns. Adverbs can modify adjectives, verbs, and other adverbs. So, for your homework, remember to study the adjective questions. So memorize these adjective questions. Which one? What kind? How many? And whose? Adverb questions. How? When? Where? To what extent? And why? So, for our homework, see if I can get it both on there. Question number 1. The sentence is, the boy smiled happily. The boy smiled happily. Okay? So what I want you to do is I want you to pause the video. Okay? Pause the video and write the sentence number 1. The boy smiled happily. Okay. I'm going to assume that you paused the video and you wrote this down. You also wrote your box out. Sentence, statement, subject, verb, adjective modifying boy answers which one. Adverb modifying smiled answers how. Okay? You should also have this written on the bottom. Next, number 2. So first, we're going to write down our sentence. Maria's bright blue dress was skillfully made. Maria's bright blue dress was skillfully made. Pause the video so you can write out the sentence. And then we'll come down here after you've paused. Underneath, you're going to have to write out this box as well. Sentence and statement, subject, noun, verb, phrase, helping verb, main verb, adjective modifying dress, answers whose. Adjective modifying dress, answers which one. Adverb modifying blue, answers how. Adverb modifying was made, answers how. So pause the video right now and write all of this under question number 2. Good. Now, come to question number 3. Where did she go? Where did she go? Okay. Now, if you see right here, this little star, it says, where is an adverb question? The adverb questions themselves are adverbs. Ooh, neat trick. So when you see where, when, how, those are all adverbs. Where, when, how, why. Okay? So take a second and again, write your sentence. Pause the video if you have to. Then come down here and we're going to make a box underneath. Pause the video if you have to. Sentence, question, sentence, statement, subject, verb, phrase, helping verb, main verb, adverb, modifying, did, go, answers, where. Write all this down, pause the video, and write it down. Coming to number 4. Yesterday, Henry sang very passionately. Pause the video, write out the sentence. Then we'll come down here again, pause the video, make your little word bank or your box of words, whatever you want to call it. Or just write it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, however you want to organize it. Underneath, you need to answer these. So, yesterday, Henry sang very passionately. Henry, what is Henry? Henry is the, sang is a, yesterday is a, passionately is a, very is the, okay? So write these down, answer what they are in the sentence. Good. And the last one. 5 rather sad clowns frowned. It's our sentence. Let me put it all right here. 5 rather sad clowns frowned. So right here, fill out this box underneath, okay? So write down the box, write the answer. Okay, what is the subject of the sentence? Write the answer. Frowned is a, write the answer. Good. Pause the video if you have to, and write everything down. Great job. You guys are doing great. Okay, so on blank piece of paper, you're going to be doing your homework from now on. Good. So, let's move on. I know this was a long grammar lesson because we had corrections today. So tomorrow, like we used to do, on Tuesdays, we'll just correct the homework. I'll go over it. On Wednesday, you'll get lesson 8. On Thursday, we're going to correct it again, just like I did today, with the corrections. So, homework on Monday, correction on Tuesday, homework on Wednesday, correction on Thursday. Same format as class. So let's continue. Now,